How can you find the greatest common factor? Think about this question during the lesson. A pet store has goldfish and angelfish that have to be put into the fewest number of glass containers. Each container must contain the same number of fish, and each must contain all goldfish or all angelfish. Knowing the divisibility rules, are 20 and 30 prime or composite numbers? Why? 20 and 30 are composite numbers because all numbers ending in 0 are divisible by 2, 5, and 10, and may have other factors. Find the greatest common factor of 20 and 30 to find the greatest number of fish that can be put into each container. If a number is a factor of two numbers, it is called a common factor. The greatest common factor of two numbers is the greatest number that is a factor of both numbers. How are the definitions of a common factor and a greatest common factor similar? A common factor and greatest common factor are both factors of two numbers. How are these definitions different? A common factor might not be the greatest common factor. To find the greatest common factor of 20 and 30, you can list all the factors of each number and circle all the common factors. What are the common factors of 20 and 30? 1, 2, 5, and 10 are common factors of 20 and 30. What is the greatest of the common factors of 20 and 30? The greatest common factor of 20 and 30 is 10. Since the greatest common factor of 20 and 30 is 10, the store can put 10 fish in each container. You can now distinguish between common factor and greatest common factor, as well as find the greatest common factor for a problem.
Hey, Moby, I thought we agreed on white tiles for the bathroom. Dear Tim and Moby, what is factoring? From Ramona. Well, factoring a number is like breaking it into pieces. Each of those pieces is called a factor. As you might remember from our multiplication movie, factors are the numbers we multiply together to get a product. Put another way, factoring is the process of finding all the numbers that a number is divisible by. Let's look at all the different ways we can arrange 12 tiles on the wall. Here we've got one row of 12 tiles. 12 times 1 equals 12. 6 times 2 also equals 12. And 3 times 4 will get you to 12 too. Our little tiling experiment shows that 12 is divisible by 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, and 4. That means these numbers are all factors of the number 12. What can we use factoring for? I'll tell you. This wall is 250 centimeters by 350 centimeters. We can use factoring to figure out exactly what size tile we should use if we want all the tiles to fit perfectly. Okay, what are all the numbers that 250 is divisible by? Good. Now what about 350? As you can see, some factors show up in the lists for both numbers. We call these common factors. Assuming our tiles are square, we can pick ones whose sides are equal to any of those common factors. 2 by 2, 5 by 5, 10 by 10, 25 by 25, and 50 by 50 tiles would all work. If I wanted to lay as few tiles as possible, I'd pick the biggest factor that both 250 and 350 have in common. Right, 50. We give this number a special name, the greatest common factor, or GCF. Yeah, that was just a hypothetical example. We won't actually use tiles that big. I'm glad you asked that question. You may have noticed that some of the factors we've found so far, like 2, 5, and 7, are prime numbers, which are whole numbers, greater than 1, that are only divisible by 1 and themselves. Since these factors are prime numbers, we call them prime factors. But what about the factors that aren't prime? That's right, we can keep factoring them until we eventually end up with all prime numbers. The process of breaking any number into its smallest whole pieces is called prime factorization. To do it, we use something called a factor tree. I think I need something to write on. Whoa. Okay, let's try 24. I usually factor 24 by thinking of it as 2 times 12. 2 is prime, so we're done there, but 12 can be factored into 3 and 4. Now we've got 2 and 3, which are prime factors, but 4 can still be factored. So, the prime factorization of 24 is 2 times 3 times 2. Well, it works the same with negative numbers. Just remember that negative 1 will always be a factor of any negative number. Yeah, once you understand what's going on, factoring is easier than tiling a bathroom. A lot easier. Remind me not to let Mom and Dad come up here anytime soon.